Welcome. Today on the Deep Dive, we're tackling a really critical topic, one that's increasingly central to national security discussions, the strategic side of superintelligence.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, you, our listener, you're likely plugged into the AI scene, aware of just how fast things are moving. So the idea of AI way beyond human smarts, it's not sci-fi anymore for researchers.
No, absolutely not. And to really get into this, we're looking at the Superintelligence Strategy expert version paper. The authors, Hendricks, Schmidt, and Wang, their backgrounds lend serious weight here.
Right.
Their main point is that we need a proactive strategy now for this advanced AI era. It's something we really need to pay attention to.
So our mission today is to pull out the most crucial takeaways from their expert take. We're really focusing on how potential superintelligence forces a rethink of national security strategy.
Yeah.
Like, what are the fundamental shifts?
Okay, so the paper kicks off by making this vital link: AI and national security. You just can't overstate it. AI is inherently dual use. Stuff made for good can easily be weaponized. That's the core challenge right there.
It really echoes past tech shifts, doesn't it? The paper makes a strong comparison to nuclear, chemical, biological weapons. They weren't just science projects. They completely changed the national security game. And mentioning Rutherford, initially dismissing atomic power, then Stillard having that breakthrough moment, it's a powerful reminder, Tech that seems way out there can suddenly change everything.
That historical perspective is key for understanding where we are with AI. We're seeing this massive global investment push. The paper compares it rightly, I think, to the Manhattan Project in its intensity and potential fallout.
Yeah.
And the exponential growth in AI training compute. That's a really concrete indicator.
That AI training compute scaling chart they include, it just lays it bare. You see FLOPs on the axis, time on the x-axis, and that curve just shoots straight up. It shows capabilities aren't just inching forward, they're rocketing. For experts like our listeners, that curve says a lot about shifting power.
Which leads straight to their core argument. Managing superintelligence demands a national security viewpoint. We have to learn from dealing with other huge dual-use techs that had catastrophic potential. It's not just about cool tech, it's about managing massive global risk.
Okay, so a big concept they introduce is mutual assured AI malfunction, or MAIM. Let's unpack that. It's like a deterrence model, similar to nuclear MAID, right?
Exactly. The basic idea is if one country makes an aggressive grab for total AI dominance, rivals would likely step in with preventive sabotage.
And what's really interesting is the paper suggests this MAIM situation isn't some far-off possibility, but maybe the default path we're already on.
Right, because disrupting a destabilizing AI project might actually be relatively easy compared to, say, stopping a nuclear program. That ease of disruption is a key factor.
So what kind of sabotage are we talking about? The paper goes into specifics.
Yeah, it ranges from like really subtle cyber stuff, messing with model weights, poisoning training data, even interfering with chip fabrication, all the way to more blatant cyber attacks on infrastructure, cooling, power.
And even kinetic strikes on data centers are mentioned, though maybe cyber is enough. They cite Stuxnet as a kind of real-world precedent for covert digital disruption.
And a crucial point they stress is that completely stopping these maiming attacks seems, well, probably impossible. Even going to extremes like burying data centers deep underground, that has its own issues during construction, huge costs, long timelines.
Okay, so if you can't fully prevent it, the goal becomes managing stability within a MAIM world. What does the paper suggest for that? How do you keep things from spinning out of control?
Several things. First, clear escalation ladders. Everyone needs to understand the steps, from spying to covert sabotage, overt cyber, maybe even kinetic, so actions don't accidentally trigger a massive overreaction.
Makes sense.
Then there's the idea of physically locating AI infrastructure far from cities, this city avoidance idea. It minimizes the risk to civilians if something does happen.
Logical.
Yeah.
Reduce collateral damage potential. What else?
Transparency is huge. Building trust, reducing the chance of someone acting preemptively based on bad intel. They suggest things like mutual observation of data centers, kind of like the Open Skies Treaty for aircraft. Seeing what others are doing can calm nerves.
That brings up the idea of AI-assisted inspections in these confidentiality-preserving AI verifiers.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty futuristic. How would that work?
The concept is you could use specialized AI tools to check code or operational data inside secure systems. They could verify compliance with rules without actually revealing secret sauce, like proprietary algorithms. It could be a more scalable, maybe less intrusive way to verify things compared to sending in human inspectors, especially with complex AI.
Interesting. Okay, shifting gears from superpower deterrence. What about nonproliferation? Stopping dangerous AI getting into the hands of, say, terrorists. That feels like the WMD playbook.
Totally. And the paper points to three main levers here. compute security, information security, and AI security itself. Let's start with compute. The analogy they use is powerful. Treat advanced AI chips like they're enriched uranium.
Okay, so practically what does that mean? Locking down the hardware.
Pretty much. Strong export controls, tracking where these high-end chips go, who owns them, but also building security into the chips. Firmware-level stuff like geolocation, geofencing so they only work in certain places, remote checks to ensure they haven't been tampered with, network limits, even physical tamper resistance.
The paper's figure 5.1, showing the GPUs in data centers, really grounds its physical stuff. And figure 5.2, that 96.5% correlation between compute power and AI capability. Wow. That drives home how vital controlling the hardware is.
Yeah, and you see it reflected in the market, right? Look at NVIDIA's revenues. Control the compute, and you significantly limit who can build truly advanced, potentially dangerous AI.
Okay, so that's compute. What's the second lever? Information security.
Right. Protecting the sensitive research, the algorithms, and crucially, the model weights the trained mind of the AI. This is like guarding the blueprints for a weapon.
And the paper admits this is tough. Insider threats, leaks driven by ideology. Achieving perfect, superpower-proof security is maybe impossible.
Exactly. And they make a really important distinction. A rival state stealing secrets is bad, but publicly releasing model weights capable of, say, designing bioweapons, that's a much bigger, irreversible risk.
So how do you tackle that?
A layered approach. Companies need strong internal defenses, insider threat programs. Governments need to share threat intelligence better, maybe rethink background check limits for AI researchers. And internationally, they suggest agreements drawing a clear red line against open sourcing certain dangerous AI capabilities, maybe similar to the Biological Weapons Convention.
Makes sense. And the third lever? AI security itself.
Yeah.
Building safeguards into the models.
Yeah, this is about the AI's behavior. Things like training models to refuse harmful requests, filtering inputs and outputs, having circuit breakers to stop runaway processes, plus operational stuff like strong know-your-customer rules for accessing powerful AI tools, and then legislative backing, maybe mandatory government stress tests for critical AI, clear rules on liability if things go wrong. Figure 5.4, the Swiss cheese model visual, shows how these different layers work together.
Okay, so we've covered survival, deterrence, and nonproliferation. But the paper also talks about how countries can actually compete and thrive in this new era.
Right.
That's also part of national security, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Staying competitive involves several things. Military strength, obviously. That means securing supply chains, like for drones, so you're not reliant on one source. It means very carefully integrating AI into command and control, keeping humans in the loop to avoid accidental flash wars, and using AI smartly in cyber offense.
And what about the economic side?
Huge focus there. The paper points out the massive vulnerability of relying so heavily on Taiwan for cutting-edge AI chips, especially with geopolitical risks.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So they strongly push for investing in domestic chip manufacturing. Again, that Manhattan Project analogy with uranium enrichment comes up. And also making it easier for top AI talent to immigrate. Another Manhattan Project lesson, they recruited scientists from all over. The paper even mentions survey data on how hard it is for non-citizen AI PhDs to stay and work in the U.S.
Right. Talent is key.
Yeah.
Then there's the legal side. How do you govern these AI agents?
The paper suggests a practical path. Extend existing legal ideas. Duty of care, duty not to lie. Fiduciary duties, apply these to AI actions. Focusing on preventing the harmful act itself, the actus reus, even if the AI doesn't have human-like intent, mens rea. Basically, treat AI as powerful tools wielded by human principle.
Then managing groups of AI agents.
They touch on trust mechanisms, things like insurance technical action firewalls to limit potential damage, strong human oversight, reputation systems for AI reliability, and importantly, linking AI agents clearly to a human legal entity via some kind of ID. Interestingly, they specifically put the whole AI rights question aside for now.
Smart move, probably. Finally, political stability. How does superintelligence impact that?
Two main aspects. One is using AI to fight censorship and misinformation. The idea of AI as a tool for clarity, for better forecasting, tackling what they call the Galileo problem of recognizing truth against resistance. The other is managing the massive disruption from automation winners and losers aren't clear. Society could be destabilized. They even float the idea of distributing compute power more widely to citizens as a potential mitigator. Figure 6.4 neatly summarizes all these threats and proposed responses.
It really is a remarkably thorough framework they've laid out. It highlights just how complex this all is, and the stakes, well, they couldn't be higher as we head into this superintelligence era.
No kidding. The Superintelligence Strategy paper gives us a critical way to think about and manage these risks. It goes way beyond just the tech and forces us to consider the deep strategic shifts.
So wrapping up this deep dive, the paper offers strategies for deterrence, nonproliferation, competitiveness, vital stuff. But it leaves us with a big thought, right? These strategies are crucial, but long-term stability.
Yeah.
Especially with something this powerful. It probably hinges on real international cooperation, on shared governance. Which leads to the final question.
What haven't we thought of yet? What are the unknown unknowns that might pop up as AI keeps accelerating? And how can the expert community get ahead of those to make sure this powerful technology actually benefits everyone?
Exactly. A critical question to keep pondering. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.